Welcome back to Obscured Reality, Stephanie and Mark.
Mm-hmm.
Back at ya. We got a cool story. We have talked about this a little bit on the show in the past. Not much, very briefly, but this one's pretty interesting. Most of the story, I mean, it's made interesting, but there's one main interesting part. So I'm not going to tell you. Let's just start reading. Let's go right into this. We got some pictures too, which are cool. I'm going to show you who this person is. So this is about a guy. His name is
Ooh.
Jerry Freeman. If you're into the topic, you may know the name. Jerry Freeman. Jerry Freeman. Jerry Freeman. He had a walk through Forbidden Nevada. What exactly does that mean? Well, let's get into it.
Yeah, I was gonna
So
say, like, is Forbidden a town?
we'll see.
Oh.
For decades, the Nevada desert has been presented to the public as empty, vast, unused, a place where nothing exists except dust mountains and silence, and of course, Las Vegas. Jerry
Yeah.
Freeman's account challenges that picture not through speculation, not through rumor, but through something far more difficult to dismiss. A detailed first person journal written by a man who walked through land the public was never supposed to enter. However, the public may have entered it way prior. Who was he? Jerry Freeman was not a UFO investigator. He was not attempting to expose secret weapons programs, and he was not searching for alien technology. There's some clues there. By profession and temperament, Freeman was an archaeologist and historian, deeply interested in pioneer roots of the American West. His obsession centered on the tragic 1849 expedition known as the Death Valley 49ers, a group of gold seekers who attempted a shortcut to California and died in the desert. One of the lingering mysteries surrounding that group was a rumored stone inscription allegedly carved by one of the dying pioneers. Freeman believed historians had misidentified where the inscription might be located. His research suggested the pioneers had traveled much farther than commonly accepted accounts allowed. The problem was not distance, the problem was the location. We're getting to the location in case anyone's curious. I'm sure you are. You probably have a clue by now, but that's coming up right now. So by the 1990s, the terrain Freeman believed the pioneers crossed lay entirely within restricted federal land. The route passed through areas controlled by the Department of Energy, or DOE, and the United States Air Force. We know with the Air Force, mum is the word,
Mm.
including the Nevada test site and portions
Mhm.
of the Nellis Test and Training Range, the NTTR. What lies in the NTTR? These areas bordered Groom Lake, or Area 51, and extended toward Papoose Dry Lake. As we all
Papoose.
know, Papoose Dry Lake,
I love that word.
Babu, ba, Baboose,
Baboose?
Bob Lazar's claimed location of the alleged S4 installation where 9 flying saucers were housed.
I
Okay.
think we might have to do an interview with Baboose
Yeah, I'd
at
like an
Papoose Lake.
interview with Jerry Freeman, but that's never going to happen.
Yes.
So, Freeman attempted to gain official permission to enter these areas for historical research. He was denied multiple times. At that point, Freeman made a decision that would define the rest of his life. He would walk the route anyways. Now, to be clear, well, let's pull up a picture first. Let's look at
Please.
a picture. Let's see who is this Jerry Freeman guy. Let's pull it up right now. This is Jerry Freeman. Jerry Freeman.
Okay.
He hiked to Papoose Lake. So, to be clear, and I'll leave the photo up. We'll leave it up in the background for everyone because we have more photos. To be clear, he contacted the DOE and Air Force. He contacted DOE numerous times. Um, from what I gathered, they were kind of okay. They're into it. They're fine with him coming in. However, it would be, he'd have at least one or two people with him, security, right?
Mm.
He's like, look, I don't care anything you got going on there. Here's a location I want to hit. I believe the inscription's here. Um, and they're like, yeah, as long as it's guided, we might be fine with it. But he still had to contact the Air Force, right? Air
Mhm.
Force said, hell no, nobody's
Of
ever
course not.
nothing. Um, now, unless I'm not sure if it's going to tell us in here, but just in case, he led a prior expedition with a bunch of people, and this was hundreds of miles. It took, I want to say it was a little over 30 days or something to do. And they found the other six inscriptions from the 49ers. And from that route, so he knows what he's doing here.
Mhm.
From the route where they found these, it led right here. That's why he believes that previous calculations are incorrect as to where this inscription is. So let's continue.
Okay.
This was not a reckless act. Freeman planned carefully, studying topographical maps, calculating distances, plotting water sources. Very important out there. He packed light, avoided roads, and planned to move through terrain that minimized visibility. He understood the legal risk, he understood the physical danger, and he understood that if something went wrong, no one would be coming to help. That's not entirely true. Someone would be coming to help, maybe not help in the way he wants.
Mm.
um, so when Freeman crossed into restricted land, obviously nothing happened. There were no alarms, no patrols, no warning signs beyond those already left behind. As he moved deeper, Freeman began noticing signs that the land was far from empty. Graded dirt roads appeared where none existed on public maps, which, by the way, you can see those roads around S4, which people claim there's no roads going to Papoose Lake from Groom Lake. Total bullshit. There's more than one. There's more than two, and they've been there a long time. Utility corridors crossed wide stretches of desert. The terrain showed evidence of ongoing maintenance, even where no
Mm.
personnel were visible. In his journal, he did keep a journal. Freeman repeatedly emphasizes how managed the land felt despite its apparent emptiness. Freeman describes encountering isolated installations, small functional facilities scattered across the desert. These were not massive bases or hangars, but clearly deliberate structures placed far from public infrastructure. He
Mm.
avoided approaching them closely. His journal reflects restraint, not curiosity. He was acutely aware that investigation could end his journey immediately. Still, their presence mattered. They confirmed that this land was not abandoned, unused, or forgotten. Now, as we know, we'll probably see some of this in a little bit, maybe. They used a lot of this area he hiked through for bombing back in the day,
Mm.
testing nukes, underground nukes, that type of stuff. So,
Interesting.
yeah, as the days passed, Freeman's most serious threat became dehydration. He writes candidly about the psychological and physical toll of thirst, describing it as insidious and overwhelming. Yeah, you need water, you know?
Yeah.
Then came the moment that has become one of the most cited passages from his journal. Near exhaustion, Freeman came across a working water source at what appeared to be a Department of Energy installation. Um, in his journal, Freeman wrote, God, that water tasted great. Thirst is such a frightening and insidious need. This was not a spring, it was not a well, it was a tap connected to underground plumbing. Um, Freeman drank, refilled his containers, and rested. The significance of this moment cannot be overstated. A functioning water tap in the middle of restricted desert implies infrastructure, planning, and long term human activity. It suggests that people were expected to operate in this area for extended periods of time. Freeman did not speculate in his journal, he simply recorded what happened. So I do remember this. I've read his story numerous times, from like his journal, things like that in the past. And it's really cool reading that because you really get a sense like reading a book of it kind of really puts you in place. And you're imagining as you're reading, walking in the middle of the night, and you're seeing this installation you had no clue was there, small installation, and he's out of water. He's like getting borderline dehydration, and he goes up there because he only saw a couple people, something, I don't know, but there was, if I'm not mistaken, those big containers like on the big ships that go from country to country,
Yeah.
same containers you'll see on trains.
Mhm.
Uh, if I recall correctly, I want to say there was some of those, and he found the tap behind one of those. Um, but it's cool if you can read his journal or his story.
So it was
Uh,
connected to a form of plumbing, like
well, it'd have to be,
structural.
right?
I mean,
Yeah.
like, well, it could be to a well, but you said it wasn't to a well, and that's just
Well, it
like,
wasn't from a well. Like, it wasn't a
oh,
well where you're gonna bring up a bucket or some bullshit like
okay.
that.
So it definitely
Maybe it
was
is.
a well tap.
Who knows? Who knows? We don't know.
Mm.
May not have been for drinking, as we may hear soon.
Oh
Not that it's known for sure.
no.
However,
Oh,
it
I
you
did think
you gotta
about
remember what
that.
they did out there. Gotta remember what they did out there.
Mm.
Unless that's plumbed in from somewhere completely outside of the NTTR, I wouldn't. I mean, I'd touch it if I was dying, right? But you know what I
Yeah,
mean?
the groundwater,
Yeah.
as far as I am aware, out like Whistler where I lived in, like obviously California, not Utah, but no, I wouldn't trust that. That's non-potable.
Well,
Mm.
potable or not, there's a bigger problem. That's the radiation from all the underground nukes.
That's I didn't even think
That's
about
the
that.
problem.
Oh my god, I didn't even think about that.
I drink water out of a stream I just watched a bear piss in before I'd fucking drink water out here. Yeah. Uh-huh. So that's the concern. So later in his journey, he documented encountering a structure he believed to be abandoned, a building or house that showed signs of modern construction and prolonged use. It was not a pioneer ruin. It was not a temporary shelter. The structure appeared deliberately left standing. Freeman used it briefly for rest
Okay.
and shelter, then continued on. He did not attempt to explore it in depth. His journal reflects caution rather than intrigue.
Mhm.
Again, the importance lies not in what the structure was, but in the fact that it existed at all. Now, we know if you actually read his journal and read the full story, he came across some areas with quite a bit of stuff in them, and that may be in here as well. And some odd looking structures like homes, but they looked really odd, those types of things. Well, they built these facades back in the day for the nuke testing,
Yeah,
and they put
yeah.
dummies in there with sensors on the dummies,
It's
and
yeah, just like, that Indiana Jones scene.
yeah, there's
Mm,
video of this stuff.
mm,
So that's pretty much what we're looking at.
yeah.
Um, As Freeman moved closer to the region near Papoose Dry Lake, his tone changes. The journal becomes quieter, more observant, less focus on physical hardship, and more focus on environment. Freeman later described this area as feeling different, not visually dramatic, but atmospherically controlled. In interviews conducted before his death, Freeman described what he observed near Papoose Lake. Quote, "It looked like a dry lake bed to me, nothing else, but at night it was a different story." This is where his story kind of gets a bit more interesting. Let's look at another photo here. Keep in mind, nobody's ever gone in there and taken and released photos of Papoose Lake. However, boom, Jerry Freeman did. That is Papoose Lake in the background. And from everything I'm reading,
God damn it. George Knapp.
for some reason, his head and hat are covering, from what I read, a very important part that would help give away his location. And I don't understand exactly what that is, unless this is right back here, the alleged area where Bob Lazar is stating should happened. It does seem about around the right area. However, I could be wrong. It is hard to tell where he's at in this. I mean, is he south of the lake over here? It's just trick on the eyes. Is he about halfway from it. Like it's hard to tell from this, but we see the range is going down and down and down. So we know the bigger part of this is going to be over to the left. So you can kind of get an idea, but this is real. This is him. This is a photo he took on his trip. So another quote. So remember, he said he described seeing lights that did not behave like normal aircraft lighting. This was at night. I could clearly see what were security lights on the perimeters, and I could see lights turning on and off near the center of the lake. Freeman did not claim to know what the lights were. He did not describe craft. He did not describe beings. He described activity. He also described feeling vibrations beneath his feet, later stating, "It's something they're testing either directly underground or I was feeling vibrations completely from Groom Lake. I don't know." The uncertainty is critical. Freeman did not present conclusions, he presented observations. So you got to keep in mind with that, especially back then. These roads, these dirt roads have always been there. You can see them on Google Maps.
Mhm.
Anybody that tells you there aren't roads going to Papoose Lake, they're full of shit. You go on Google Maps, satellite view, and see it yourself. And I'm telling you right now, back in the day when I first heard Bob Lazar's story, it was pretty intriguing. I looked into his story a lot. I read and watched everything Bob Lazar because it was an interesting story. One of the first things I did, I went on there to see if there was any roads going to Papoose, and I
Sorry.
immediately found them, right?
Yeah.
Now, there is a particular road that has always been in question in my head because of where the road goes. I don't see a necessity for it. However, it's there. There's another way to get to that point without that road being there. So why do we have these two roads going there? And I can show you when we're done here.
Mhm.
Um, that area that's in question for me looks to be around the same area as Bob Lazar's alleged S4. Um,
Let's take a
so yeah, what's up?
I was say I see more pictures over there, and one looks like a map, and I'm like, "Ooh."
But I'm not there yet.
I know, but I'm just like, I'm trying to get, like, a visual from overhead,
Yeah. So
and I'm not.
well, yeah, well look, so you gotta remember this is back in 97,
Mhm,
okay? So we know the roads were there. Um, since then, again, Google, Google Maps, satellite view, you can see there's clear things going on at and or around near Papoose Lake. For instance, there's things happening just north of Papoose Dry Lake. And from what I've seen, it really appears to be like a small airstrip, which is interesting. So we know there's clearly roads going there. Um, now, if you look on the satellite view, you can see what appears to be like a small airstrip uh, north at the north end, little above the north end of Papoose Lake. There's
hmm,
clear activity happening and more going in there. Um, back then, not so much. You wouldn't expect to see things happening at Papoose Lake during the day or the night. I would definitely expect maybe to see a security vehicle drive somewhere through the area, maybe multiple times during the day, maybe once or twice at night. I would fully expect that, right?
mhm, yeah,
But that's not what he's saying. He saw lights on the perimeters, security lights on the perimeters. I don't know why he says security lights and what that means,
mhm,
but he can see lights turning on and off near the center of the lake. So they could have been doing some type of night training for something. They could have maybe had an aircraft out and they had those lights on, have something to do with this aircraft. Who knows? However, he never stated anything about hearing an aircraft that night, right? So,
mhm,
what's really interesting is the vibrations underground. He thinks it's something they're testing. I question that. You got to remember, this is after Bob Lazar's story. Bob Lazar's story is they have this underground base, 9 hangars, right? Flying saucers. What we know they have underground installations. Think of NORAD. How insane is NORAD? I mean, built
Oh,
into a freaking mountain. It's
oh my
nuclear proof.
god.
Like the way it's built is insane.
The fact that the whole thing sits on springs
Yeah,
is
well,
insane.
how
I
did they
love that.
build that? Well, think. Have you ever seen one of those big, huge boring machines?
Mhm.
They're
Yep.
massive. I
Yes,
mean,
they
the
are.
the tip of it is like the size of a small house. They're massive things, and they
They
just go
have to
super
be, though.
slow. Yeah, just
Yeah.
grinding through, create the tunnel.
Mhm.
Um, I think if he's feeling vibrations that sound like they lasted a while, I do trust this guy in his story. He's not doesn't seem like a bullshitter. He's not making shit up. He's not like over presenting anything here. It's
Mhm.
very clear from reading his journal and stuff. He's not. He went there for a purpose. That was it. That I mean, he even contacted them first. If he's feeling these prolonged vibrations, I would question if this was some boring machine underground. They easily could have been digging out tunnels to get somewhere else on the property, or boring a massive hole for something underground, right? Um, if you're to believe Bob Lazar and assume he's not full of shit, well, this is in 97. Lazar's story came out in 89. This place got so much publicity after Bob Lazar's story. People were going up to Tickaboo Peak. It was one of the closest and few spots you could even see
What is it
Area
called?
51, Tickaboo Peak.
That's
And
cute. Okay.
the government wound up taking over more land purposely, like Tickaboo Peak, so people
Surprise.
couldn't get up there. So
And see
people
what's
couldn't
going
enter
on.
Area 51, right?
Ah!
So it wouldn't be a far stretch, if you believe Bob Lazar's story is true, that they may have been doing new work to move that stuff, which they would probably want to move underground, especially if you're building a new base somewhere else.
Mhm.
But I cannot find it nowadays. There are other installations in the NTTR that are underground. I know that for a fact. There was one I heard about. It's a little northwest of Groom Lake on a different mountain range. And I saw pictures. I wound up
Mhm.
finding it on Google Maps satellite view. And there's a little dirt road that went up the side of this hill, and then it came back around the hill on this flat, graded out area, which was nothing more than just a place to park vehicles. And you could clearly see a hole in the hill going in. So there are other underground places here,
Mm.
guaranteed,
Mhm.
100%.
Oh, yeah.
You got to keep that in mind, that there's a good chance they've bored out a lot of area under the NTTR. Um, no better way to keep it out of sight, right? Other than underwater. So let's move on. Despite traveling deep into restricted territory, Freeman was never confronted. He was never detained, arrested, or questioned. He entered the land, traversed it, encountered installations, infrastructure, and controlled activity, and then left on foot. It is important to be clear, Freeman did not find the 1849 Pioneer inscription during his trek. He reached the area he believed it might be located, but ran out of time and water, forcing him to turn back. This
Mm.
does not diminish the significance of his journey. If anything, it reinforces its authenticity. Freeman shared his account sparingly. He resisted sensationalism. He repeatedly emphasized that his purpose was historical, not conspiratorial. He died in 2001,
No! That sucks.
4 years later. No charges were ever filed against him. No official explanation was ever offered. Since then, access to the region has only become more restricted. Jerry Freeman's story is not about what he discovered, it's about what he was allowed to witness. Because the most unsettling part of his account is not the lights, the installations, or the water tap, it's the silence with no response, no interception, no consequences,
Yeah.
which leaves a question that still doesn't have an answer. Was Jerry Freeman invisible? Or was he seen, understood, and quietly ignored? Invisible meaning, did nobody really see him? Or did they just ignore him? You know?
Mhm.
So just a quick timeline. His trek
Hmm.
began April 18th, 1997. Um,
Where at?
well, I'm sorry. On the 18th, he gave a pre-trip interview to the Las Vegas Sun,
Ah. Ooh,
discussing his obsession with blah blah 49ers, all that. So he talked to someone at the Las Vegas Sun. The purpose of that was to let someone know what he was going to be doing. That way
smart.
things didn't work out. And he contacted them via phone once in a while just to make sure they knew, hey, I'm halfway. Halfway would have been at Papoose looking in the hills.
Mhm.
He also had a friend he was talking to. They had certain codes he was using so nobody would know he was talking about Papoose. So April 19th, 1997 is when he began his trek on foot. Um, Now we don't know the exact, but we'll look at some more photos in a second. The exact route. April 20th through 21st, he crossed into the restricted land, so the NCTR. He noted graded roads, utility corridors, signs of land maintenance, all that. April 22nd is where he encountered isolated installations in the desert. So a few days in, the 24th, so 2 days later, he reached a DOE, Department of Energy style installation with a working water tap. That's where he was there. Um, April 25th is when he used a abandoned modern structure or building for shelter. And he continued toward Nye Canyon. Nye Canyon is at Papoose Lake, and that's where he believed the inscription was. On the 26th or
Interesting.
27th, he reached Papoose. That's when he saw the lights at night, all that. 28th is when he turned back, and that's basically it. So
Interesting.
let's check out these other pictures here. Here is kind of
That's
what Papoose looks like on the southwest side of the same mountain range that Groom Lake or Area 51 is on. So this spot right here is the alleged location of Bob Lazar's S4 facility,
Mhm.
which is very close to a very particular spot that I have always questioned, which is right here. And that has to do with, I believe it's that spot. If it's not that spot, it's this spot, but I'm pretty sure it's here. Has to do with this road you see right here. You can barely see it. Dirt access road
Yes.
leads back to South Groom Lake. That access road is interesting to me because it's up on the hill there, as you see, but there's
Mhm.
another road that goes to the southern tip of Papoose. I don't know why this one is needed. Next photo.
I'm
This
totally
is
seeing that, yeah.
what is believed to be his route. Obviously, you can see the arrows going in towards Papoose and Nye Canyon being over here,
Mhm.
along with his return out, blah, blah, blah. It looks like he would have come down the range right here, possibly, and then crossed over, gotten away from Papoose, and then crossed back. But who knows? Maybe not, because this says DOE structure right here. This is where the abandoned ship is. So this is probably nowhere near Papoose, still going in. But that's basically it. This is, we'll leave it on the Papoose photo here. So his story's always been interesting because it's
Sugar
true.
bunker.
He
Mm.
did do it. It's not a joke. He did it. He's got a couple pictures to prove it. He went there for no reason other than find the last inscription from the 49ers. He and a group of people already found the previous six where nobody else has done it. So it's interesting that at a point in time when
Interesting.
you wouldn't expect anything to be going on at Papoose Lake, he's seeing lights out there at night,
Mhm.
perimeter lights, which I don't know what he means by that, but I'm thinking lights around the lake,
Yeah.
perimeter lights every so often or in a certain area. Um, I'm guessing the lake because he said he also saw a light coming on and off in the middle of the lake. what could be the point other than a training exercise, or Bob Lazar's actually not full of shit, right? I mean, I think Bob Lazar's full of shit. Now I can give you good reasons why, but what would they be doing at Papoose at night? I mean, Papoose is a perfect location to hide shit like that. I mean, it's on the
It's
other side.
yeah.
You can't see it unless it's by air, and people have done it from air just outside the border, purposely flying. And you got to remember, it is legal to fly over the NTTR every once in a while. You got to call ahead and get permission. It's only going to be when they have downtimes and only if they approve it, but they do and have approved it. People have done it, but it's not common.
Hmm.
Um, so what do you think about this guy? I mean, it's pretty interesting.
It
He was out there for a week hiking,
yeah.
pain in the ass, you know.
He got pretty far, honestly, because
Well, he
as
got to where he wanted to go.
yeah, but I'm just, like, looking at
It was over
everything in
100 miles.
which yeah, oh, yeah, no, because am looking at Nye Canyon in retrospect to where it is versus Papoose Lake, and even from there, like, Sugar Bunker is within, the restricted area because other
Don't know what the
than
hell Sugar Bunker is.
it's literally what it says on my phone, and it's, like, just one of
I
those
don't know what Sugar Bunker is though.
it's a it's a abandoned, looks like, building. That's the closest thing that's
Okay.
named on the actual, like, map, but the closest town is it looks
Oh,
like
Rachel.
yeah, but, if did he come from the South?
So he
So
went in from the southwest and went northeast.
interesting,
His trip
okay.
was about 100 miles. So you could easily just put a pin in Papoose Lake and
Mm,
do a radius of 100 miles, and you'll at least have somewhat of an idea of where he came in at. It's important to go read his journal. It's interesting to read the whole story. Um,
yeah, it's just interesting where he dropped in on.
but yeah, about 100 miles.
Yeah.
I mean, as expected, there's nothing out there. But if you had
Oh,
something
yeah.
like Bob Lazar states is at Papoose Lake, S4 and flying saucers, would you want any type of facilities out there? You know, you have the underground hangars, but would you want any type of facilities above ground? I wouldn't think so, because you'd
There's
want
only a
it to
few.
be hidden and draw zero attention to it, right? Um, you
From the
know,
looks of it, there's only, like, 1, maybe 2 things out there,
I
but
don't know
it's
what you're
all
talking about. What do
out
you mean out there?
out by
1, 2,
Papoose
3.
Lake in the restricted area where he was walking in that 100-mile area. Like,
Well, everything out there is
yeah,
restricted. It's more than 100 miles
I know, but
restricted. I
what you're
mean,
saying about how having
yeah,
stuff above ground, and I'm just looking at it like, yeah, there's not shit above ground out
there's
there.
nothing above ground at Papoose Lake. Everything
There's
above ground
something south of it,
that's
but
visible is
it's
on the mountain range itself, like antenna towers, things like that. You got to remember too,
mhm,
what's interesting about him, he went to the mountain range because he went to Nye Canyon.
mhm.
He either crossed Papoose Lake or went below it and then up, who knows? But you would think if Lazar's story is true, they'd have some cameras pointing at S4 at Papoose Lake, most likely from those towers on top of the small mountain range, because the cameras would be out of view. It wouldn't it wouldn't lead anyone to believe there's anything at Papoose Lake. They may have, closer cameras mounted on the hillside that you're never even going to notice. They do it
Hmm.
all along the road leading to Groom Lake, the famous road that everyone hits by the black mailbox. They have cameras out there you can see up on the hills. So you would think that if there was something there, they would have seen him. But then again, well, maybe they weren't using any type of infrared night vision type cameras. Come on, if you have something like that at Papoose Lake, yes, they would. Come on.
I'm pretty sure that they knew he was there, but they were like,
No.
"Oh, don't tell me they I just don't believe the military didn't know he was there."
It's so desolate out there. That land is a small state that they own. He went in from a good direction. He didn't come in from the Groom Lake side. If he came in from Groom Lake side, then I think he would have been caught. But there's nothing going on the other side. There's
However, there are
literally
some of the old-timey shit that he was looking for. The map is just like, "Hey, look at this." And it's like, "Oh, it's an old house." Ow. But no,
well, yeah,
yeah.
they had structures they put out there for,
Yeah,
the testing and all that.
yeah. They definitely have
Uh,
the structures out there, but there are what maybe is a few fake towns that I can see on the map still,
mhm.
but that's about all it looks like, and that's
Well,
it's interesting. I love the fact it's still out there, though.
let's take a quick look at it on the map
Mhm,
here, because I want to point something out that's always been in my mind about Lazar's story here. See if I can make this a little bigger.
I was gonna say, if you zoom down south of the
So
lake.
this is Papoose Lake. This is
Mhm,
Groom Lake. So you see Groom Lake,
mhm.
northeast side of the small mountain range, Papoose, southwest side. Now, I've heard people talking on their shows in the past. There's no roads. Or Bob Lazar's full of shit. There's not even any
It's
roads. It's
very
all
obvious that
gravel."
there's fucking roads.
Well, look, I'm not even zoomed in all the way. You can see the goddamn roads, and right
Mhm,
here is an important split. This is where you know whatever they split off. But I want to point two roads out. So you have your main road right here that
mhm,
goes straight to the dry lake bed right here and just dumps out. You go anywhere from here. Okay. Anywhere. It's a flat, dry lake bed.
mhm.
Now, take that road back. You see clearly, goes through all this bullshit and goes in all these different directions and then back up. You go back up. Where does that go? Boop, 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 boop. Goes all the way back up to Groom Lake right here. Okay. Here's the road that immediately I saw this as soon as I looked at the map. Back when I heard Lazar's story, this road got me right here. So I'm going to keep the mouse pointer there. Look where that road is. So the other one is down here. This one's right here. That's not far away from each other. That's very close. Okay. It wouldn't be a stretch to just stay on this road and come this way. But they have a road right here that split off from the main road back up here. And it comes over here, right to an area. This looked better on older photos I've seen, but it dumps out right here. And you clearly see vehicle tracks going in numerous directions. This is around Lazar's alleged location, here or here. I think it's here. This spot's always got me because you have this piece that comes out and around, and I believe it's this one, but either way, this one looks more like it. This photo looks a lot different. There's more vegetation here, so it looks different. I'm pretty sure it's this one, and it looks kind of blurry, and it is. But you could see. I mean, it comes too close to this. The way I've seen it in other photos, this looks like a perfect spot to bust people in if you have an underground facility right there named S4 with flying saucers. Why is that road coming out right there? Why is it going there when you could just stay on the main road right here, hit the lake, and just haul ass up if you want to go up? Why two? They're so close together. This is no more than, if you're going quick enough, like a minute distance, maybe 2 minutes, if that. It's not that far. So that one's always not concerned me, but been in my mind. Now I'll show you what I mean of things going on near Papoose Lake. Now these satellite images look different than the ones I saw a few years ago, but you can clearly see some stuff happening here, right? Like I'm not blind. That's there. Uh there's some stuff going on here. Little airstrip, it looks like. this would be for nothing more than like Cessnas. But either
Scroll
way,
south.
why do
Just
they have that there?
scroll south of Papoose Lake. Like zoom out real fast. And
Papoose Lake's down here.
yep, scroll down. Scroll
Uh-huh.
down. Don't zoom in. Zoom out a little bit, please. Go southwest, please. Zoom south. Scroll southwest just a little bit.
Like where, around here or
No,
up
keep
more?
going down more, please. Keep going down.
Uh-huh.
Keep
You're way
going.
down.
You gotta scroll the map. Zoom out a little. Right there. Sugar. You see it there? Sugar bunker.
Okay.
Oh, you just got like lost me now. Like that also looks a little sus
Well,
because
you gotta
there's
remember.
nothing. It's still within the
There's-
same area, and there's no like indication of anything that I was finding on Google about it. So it's like this more above ground stuff and
Yeah,
missing
this
things.
this looks old. Like there used to be stuff here. Nice circular imprint in the ground there. It's
Yeah, the
interesting.
other stuff looked new though.
Um, this all looks like shit used to be there. What, who knows? I mean, look
Mhm.
at this. There's clearly was something there. This looks like an impact crater, right?
Mhm.
Testing. That could have been an underground nuclear test spot. Here's another crater.
Yeah,
Um,
with those
but
build.
they are probably, I mean, I know for a fact they still test out there the ground for radiation and stuff. They could have just kept some of this old stuff
Mm,
around just as offices so they can have a place to go. They test, who knows? But you got a big rig here with looks like tanks on the back. That's probably for all that hazardous shit. They may use this as the new dumping area because there's no activity there.
ew,
Uh, you know, so there's not really
that's
anything going
interesting.
on here. You can see this is all shit, but there's clearly vehicles there and something's happening. Probably their dumping ground. Freeman did state, this wasn't in the story I read, but it is in his story. He came across some of these spots that had things such as these types of craters, really soft sand. He was picking up large rocks and tossing them in there to see because he didn't want he had a concern. His concern was hitting some ground where there had been an underground test and him just sinking down and gone.
Yeah,
And he
that
was
would be
tossing
scary.
large rocks into some of these areas that were questionable.
And
And he said on at least one occasion, the rock just disappeared. So this could have been the DOE location. Who knows? Don't really know what
so
Sugar
freaky.
Bunker is, but now that we have lost Papoose Lake, there it is. We go back up here,
Mhm.
and what do you see? Clearly, clearly to me, where the hell did it go?
That looks like a paved road
Here's
right there.
Papoose. Here's more dirt roads going down to Papoose Lake. There is what appears to me to be an airstrip. What is that? It's
I don't know.
interesting.
It keeps jumping though.
A small
There
airstrip
we go.
right here. Now, it very well may not be an airstrip. I don't know what the hell it is.
There's a road leading to it.
If it is, that's like small, single engine prop planes. Um, that's the only thing I could imagine. However, this doesn't even look used. It looks
Old.
run over here, and maybe this is just dug out dirt. But why do you need this formation? You can see clear marks of things happening here. Vehicles maybe have gone around. Who knows? But you got the roads going down. You just have weird stuff here. So there's clearly things happening at and around Papoose. Now, just so you know, the other underground location I found, I didn't find it, but I had to go digging to find it on the map. Once
Mm.
I had seen it, I knew what I was looking for. It took a while. Here's Rachel. Here's Area 51. Okay. It was somewhere over here. It was either in this little mountain range here or over here. And it was just this little dirt road that went up. And imagine we're looking at it here. this dirt road would have gone up this way and then back up more and more and come back around the side of the hill to a big graded out flat dirt area to park vehicles. You can see them parked there. You can clearly see there's an underground entrance just going right into the hill.
Huh,
So,
I know
you
exactly
know,
what you're talking
you got to
about.
remember that. And one more thing to point out with Lazar's story, because Jerry Freeman went to Papoose, you would expect if they had dug out these hangars, like Lazar alleges, you would expect to see tailings from that. All the dirt they dug out to build that underground base, you would expect to see the disturbance, even if you don't see the hangar doors. Um, where is that disturbance? Unless they went underground from Area 51, which is always possible because I'm sure there's underground at Area 51. They could have bored tunnels to get here to build it and taken all that shit back out through the Area 51 side. So who knows? If you believe his story, there's possibilities there, right? So interesting. Where's Nye Canyon? Let's see where Nye Canyon
A
is.
little south of Papoose Lake.
Mm, that's interesting. No, 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 no. Okay, well, I think this whole thing is probably Night Canyon because I think it's just this whole canyon here, right? Is Night Canyon. That inscription, I swear to God, from everything I've read on this guy before, was up here somewhere. And that was why he was within a mile of Papoose Lake. So I can't imagine dehydrated, thirsty, hungry, going, okay, after searching where I need to search here, I'm going to go up here. I'm almost positive it's up here. This is just all Night Canyon, I think. But I don't know. Could be wrong. Either way, he got very close to Papoose Lake.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't know. What do you think? Pretty ballsy. Would you ever try that?
Nope.
No,
Nope. Nope.
I think it'd be cool if you
You
didn't
go.
have to worry, didn't have kids, family, and you're like, fuck it, I don't care,
Yeah.
I think it'd be interesting, but honestly, what I'd have to do, I'd have to take like one day, you would want to prep for this, right? You'd want to
Mm-hmm.
work out. You'd really want to get as healthy as you can. I would take one day and one night, sorry. I'd have it pre-planned. I would pack in nothing but water on me and obviously food, but I would pack in nothing but water, go as far as I can, try to get halfway point and find a spot to hide that water or possibly bring a small shovel and dig a hole big enough to put the water in so it's not visible. That way, when you go on your trip, you have some water and food buried there, maybe easily accessible, right? That's a long trip, man. I would think you'd want to do something like that because you don't want to carry that much in, especially
No.
knowing there's nothing there. And goddamn, if you found a tap, man, I don't know. I'd want to drink out of that.
Yeah. I don't know. I don't know.
So yeah, what do you think of this guy?
Oh,
Nothing
well,
amazing story.
I think that's a great story, honestly. I
You think
think
he's stupid?
I think that's to be determined, but at the same
I
time,
don't.
I really appreciate I mean, you gotta have a little stupidity to be like, fuck it. But
Well,
I do also appreciate the fact that he's like, as an archaeologist and a historian, I am going to document this because, you know, whatever. Like,
yeah.
because he was looking
He's like,
for, he was just
it's
like
just
trying to document the route, but he found
yeah,
so much more. And like, that's cool. That's the whole part of like history and archaeology that's fun. And so for that, I applaud him because that's the
yeah.
whole point of it.
And I don't believe he was professional archaeologist or any of that. It was like if I were to tell you I'm a photographer, well, no, I do it on the side, like on my own. I don't make money at it. I like doing it. Kind of like that.
Mhm.
And maybe he's really good at it. Obviously, he found him and the group found the other inscriptions, right? He knew where to go.
Right.
So
So,
he knew what he was doing.
mhm.
I don't think he's stupid. I think he's likes what he was doing and he's his own person, right? And that's that. He clearly didn't really make any stupid mistakes, other than maybe he could have brought a little more water. But
Yeah, prepped a little better.
maybe try and get in at least one other time to bury some water in case you're having an issue. You at least have something you can get to. But I mean, he did a pretty good job.
Yeah.
I'm curious about what he saw at Papoose Lake, the lights and stuff. Um, which, when we're done here, I'm going to go back to that map and zoom in and see, can you see anything down there? It looks like there could be some set in the ground type lights. Like, were these vehicles they drive out there to make a perimeter? What the fuck?
I don't
It's
know.
weird,
Yeah.
but he did it.
Yes, he did.
So that is the story of Jerry Freeman, 1997, hiking in to Papoose Lake.
What a cool guy.
I hope somebody else does it in the very near future before I die and purposely goes to the base of that mountain range and just walks along it and bangs on it with a hammer till they hear Bob
The
Lazar's
hollow.
9 doors and dong. Oh shit.
Oh Lord.
If they're smart, they would have outfitted them with wood before they texturized them to look like the land. That way, if anybody did, there'd be nothing. So that's the story. If you got an obscured story of your own, obscuredr1 at gmail, type story in the subject line. Tell us your story. We'll tell it for you on here. You can even come on and do it yourself if you'd like. And that's it for tonight. I'm out of here.
Peace.